My name is Lin Hao, a college student who is so ordinary that he can't be more ordinary. His biggest love is to watch the live broadcast of the adventure category and fantasize that he will one day become a legendary figure in the adventure world. But in reality, you have to consider the thickness of your money bag when you go far away. Until that day, my life was completely overturned by a broken stone. Things have to start from a weekend. I was so lazy that day that I asked Xiaopeng, the dead party, to go to a deserted ancient temple on the outskirts of the city. I heard that strange things always happen in that place, and I said that I might be able to get some strange things. When I got to the place, I saw that it was indeed extremely broken. The wall was half collapsed, full of grass, and even the birds were not happy to come here to shit. Brother Hao, can we really find a baby? How do I think there's nothing but mosquitoes here? Xiaopeng sang and complained, the flesh on his face shaking like a fruit. Don't you just stop, will you have to start from such a broken place? You may be thinking that there are some valuable things buried underground. I was hard on my lips, but I had no idea what was in my heart. I just had a pure picture. As I was talking, I almost fell down my head and almost fell a dog to eat shit. He looked down and hey, a piece of gray stone slab was exposed in the grass lined, with the edges being round and slippery, with some messy lines engraved on it, which looked like a map and a ghost talisman. I felt excited in my heart, and I lifted it up tightly and patted off the soil on it. Bog, Xiaopeng, look at this thing. Is it like the ancient stone slab in the tradition? Maybe there is something big secret hidden. I was so excited that my hands were shaking a little. Xiaopeng came over and glanced at him, and said, "Tisk, Brother Hao, have you read too many novels? This is probably what an old man carved and played with. It's worth it." I ignored him and took a few photos with my mobile phone and prepared to go back and check the information. As a result, at this moment, the stone slab suddenly emitted a low buzzing sound, as if someone was beating a drum in it. I almost threw it away, but my hands just opened and the sound stopped. Then, a line on the stone slab lit up a dark blue light, as if it had come alive. Bottle. What's going on? Xiaopeng jumped 3 meters away, his face as white as paper. My heart beats like a drum, but I still hold the slab tightly on my head. The next second, a heat flowed from the palm of your hand and suddenly a low voice appeared in your brain, "Human, are you my master?" I was stunned. What's the matter? How could this sound like a monster in a movie? Before I could react, a huge sound suddenly sounded like lightning struck down. A huge black flying dragon was lifted out of the cloud layer, and the wings flapped into a wild wind, and the grass on the ground was pressed down. Bound groove and bed groove. Brother Hao, run quickly. What kind of monster is that? Xiaopeng howled like a pig, and turned around and wanted to open it. Run. Don't you see it pushing us? Have you ever run this thing? I was furious and panicked in my heart, but for some reason, the voice in my brain sounded again, "Don't be afraid, I won't hurt you." I looked down and saw that the light on the slab was getting brighter and brighter, and a thought suddenly flashed through my brain. This flying dragon had something to do with the slab, and it seemed that it really took me as its master. I tried to reply in my heart, "Who are you? Don't scare me." The voice laughed softly, as if I was very satisfied with my reaction. "I am the wings of the thunder, a huge beast that has been sleeping for thousands of years. You woke me up, and from now on, I will hear you. My mouth is so irritating that I can stuff a chicken egg." What? Hearing my life? What kind of fairy drama is this? Why did I become the master of the giant zodiac? But as I watched the flying dragon spiral in the sky, my atmosphere was comparable to the monsters in science fiction movies. I suddenly felt a little excited. Brother Hao, don't be stunned. Is that thing really going to eat us? Xiaopeng collapsed behind me, his voice trembling. It should not be. I swallowed and tried to say to Phylon in my heart, "Come down, don't be scared." The sound just fell, and the flying dragon sounded a long bird and landed slowly. The huge claws stepped on the ground, which made my legs soft. It looked at me with its head low, with blue light flashing in its eyes, as if it could see through me. I walked over with my head, my palms were covered in sweat, and I silently recited in my heart, "Don't come around, I'm not working yet." As a result, it just lowered its head lightly, as if surrendering. At that moment, the panic in my heart suddenly turned into an inexplicable confidence. In the trough, Lin Hao, can I actually drive a flying dragon? If people know this, can I be offered as God? Brother Hao, you are so awesome. Do you really hear this thing? Xiaopeng dared to come over, his eyes staring like a copper horn. Wind, have you been looking down without looking at it? From today on, Lin Hao, are the star of tomorrow in the exploration world. I was wearing a very hard mouth, but in fact, I was still a little bit stupid in my heart. But no matter how you say it, with this flying dragon in my hand, I felt that my dream of leaving the legendary explorer's house seemed to be a big step closer. Just as I was exploring the future happily, a harsh laugh suddenly came from far away. Isn't this the country guy Lin Hao? Why did you really take yourself as a visitor after you knocked down the stone? I turned around and saw that Zhang Ao and the guy walked over with a few followers. He was wearing a professional exploration equipment, and there were still a bunch of tools that I couldn't name around his waist. The mocking expression on his face made me feel toothless. Zhang Ao is our famous explorer team leader. He has money at home and has a lot of resources. He usually doesn't use me to make a small fry. He said that I am a sour food and is not worthy of playing the venture. Zhang Ao, why are your mouth still so smelly? If you have the ability, you can also try it out to see if you can call a flying dragon out. I didn't feel so angry. Although I was a little scared, I felt much more at ease with the flying dragon sucking my waist. Flying dragon? Haha, I'm so laughing to death. You said you summoned this broken bird? Don't make fun of it. Only the countrymen are the treasures. Zhang Ao sneered and glanced at Flying Dragon, full of disdain. My face was so hot that it was red, a low-level giant. This guy is so bold to say it. I was about to go back when the sound of Flying Dragon suddenly sounded in my brain. Master, this person is very troubled. Do you want me to teach him? I was stunned. Teaching? How to teach? But seeing Zhang Ao's beating, I felt a slight feeling in my heart and tried to reply. Don't be terrible, just be scared. The next second, Flying Dragon roared suddenly, flapped his wings, rolled up a wild wind, and rushed Zhang Ao and the others over. Zhang Ao's face turned pale in surprise, and he quickly stepped back, and said, Dare you dare to move me? Believe it or not, I'll find someone to kill you. Drive it? Come on, see who will kill it. I sneered, stood there without moving, and silently muttered in my heart that I would not hurt people. Filong heard very much, and slapped his claws directly on the ground in front of Zhang Ao, smashing a big hole, and the soil smacked his face, and several followers were shocked and urinated. Lin Hao, you have a thing. Let's take a look. Zhang Ao gritted his teeth, took the people away on the ground with his gray face, and glared at me fiercely when he left. I looked at their wolfish backs and felt so happy. The trunk was usually pressed by this guy, and today I finally felt proud. Xiaopeng laughed so hard that his stomach cramped. Brother Hao, it's awesome. Zhang Ao's face is green, ha ha ha. This is wherever he goes, and he will feel better in the future. I clapped my hands, turned around and looked at the Flying Dragon, and my heart became more and more calm. This guy is my trump card. With it, I will definitely be able to make a fortune. But at this moment, a low growl came from afar, as if some big guy was approaching. Filong raised his head suddenly, his eyes flashing with a warning light. My heart was nervous. What was going on? Before I could react, a huge rhino-shaped giant beast appeared in the tree forest, and there were iron chains on the horns, as if they had been manipulated. It red eyes and rushed us here. The ground was trampled straight. Brother Hao, I'm here again. What's the matter? The little fathead behind me in amazement, his voice trembling. What a panic. I'm afraid of being so bad. I was hard on my lips, but I had no idea. This rhino giant beast looks hard to mess with at first sight. Its body shape is a circle larger than the Flying Dragon, and it looks like a tank. Flying Dragon growled, and its voice came from his brain, "Master, let me solve it." I gritted my teeth and pointed, "Okay, fuck it. Don't let it get close." The flying dragon sounded a long bird and suddenly rose into the sky. The wind of the wings flapping directly pressed the surrounding trees. The giant rhino beast was not willing to be outdone. It lowered its head and rushed with a fierce light flashing from its horns. My heart was about to jump out, but the connection between my brain and the flying dragon became clearer and clearer. I could feel every action of it, and even predict its attack route in advance. On the right, surf over, and grab its back with its claws. I murmured in my heart. Phylong seemed to fully understand what I meant. He flashed his body, avoiding the rhino's impact, grabbed its claws hard on its back, tearing off a large piece of flesh. The rhino was in pain and let out a roar, turning around and rushing over again, but the flying dragon was faster, and the trench rose in the air and sprayed directly with a breath of lightning, hitting the rhino's brain. "Yutsao, Brother Hao, you are so awesome in cooperation with this flying dragon." Xiaopeng was stunned by the sight and shouted in his mouth. I grinned, feeling so happy in my heart. This is the first time I have really fought with flying dragon. I didn't expect that the spiritual connection would be so useful. There is no difference between me simply fighting each other. The rhino giant roared so hard that it could not bear it, so it turned around and ran into the forest of trees and disappeared. The flying dragon landed slowly and lowered its head toward me, as if seeking credit. I couldn't help but reach out and touch its brain. Although my claws were still shaking, my heart was unprecedentedly steadily. With it, what are I, Lin Hao, afraid of? Only then did the crowd around me dare to come over. One of my eyes was full of shock and admiration. An uncle directly gave a thumbs up. "Little brother, it's so bad. You can kill the flying dragon, you are going to become a new star in the exploration world." I smiled so hard that I couldn't even fit my mouth. I pointed at the uncle's head, and felt happy in my heart. Zhang Ao just laughed at me as a villager. What about now? I used real strength to hit his face, and this feeling was so good that I felt so good. "Brother Hao, what should we do next? We have obtained a stone slab and flying dragon. We can't just go home here, right?" Xiaopeng came over, with a bright light in his eyes. I lowered my head and looked at the stone slab in my hand. The lines on it were still illuminating, as if there was a big secret hidden. I felt aroused in my heart and said, "Go home? What a joke. This stone slab must be a big deal. We have to crack the above questions and say that we may find the treasure in the transcript. Boego, Baozang. Then I have to hang out with you, Brother Hao, bring me one." Xiaopeng said. "Bog, Baozang. Then I have to hang out with you, Brother Hao, take me." The fat man's eyes lit up, and he patted his chest and looked like he wanted to fight the world with me. "I'm going to waste, you are the one who is here." I rolled my eyes, lowered my head and studied the stone slab in my hand. The messy lines on it were just light, and now it was getting dark, as if it was no electricity. But I always have a straightforward feeling in my brain that this thing is absolutely not simple, and I might really point to something great. "Master, the power of the stone slab has been activated, it will guide you to the first place to try." The sound of flying dragons suddenly sounded in my brain. His language was low and steady, and it made people feel at ease when they heard it. "Trying to the land? What does it mean?" I was stunned and tried to ask it in my heart. "The secret of lost civilization is recorded on the stone slab, but only through the experiment can we unlock the next part of the rope. The first experiment is in an unknown land, full of danger, but there are also opportunities." Feilong's voice brought a warning, as if he gave me a precaution in advance. "Unknown mainland? It sounds very exciting." I grinned, and a desire aroused in my heart. No matter what danger it is or not, I am afraid of nothing if I have a flying dragon here. "Little Fat, prepare for it, let's go." "Distance? Where are you going?" "Brother Hao, we don't even understand the map." Xiaopeng was confused and grabbed the back of his brain and asked. "I don't understand the map, Phylong understands it. Just follow it and you'll be right." I patted his shoulder and turned to Fei Long's heart. Take the way, don't let me down. The flying dragon whirled its wings, and its wings shook, and it rose directly into the sky, flying towards the far away. Xiaopeng and I kept up tightly. Although our legs were a little sore, the thrill in our hearts couldn't be suppressed at all. A few hours later, the flying dragon took us to a coastal cliff. Below was the storm of the sea. You could see a pile of land covered by fogs, like a huge shadow floating on the sea. Bog, Brother Hao, is this place too evil? There is no monster hidden in the fog, right? Xiaopeng swallowed, his face turned a little white. What are you afraid of? I've gone with so many monsters. We have flying dragons, can we still be scared? I was hard on my lips, but my heart was also a little swaying. The fog looks unfavorable, like a black hole that can swallow people into. But now that we have arrived, we can't give up halfway. I gritted my teeth and said to Fei Long, go in, let's see what this place is famous for. The flying dragon sounded a long bird, and carried me and Xiaopeng directly into the fog. As soon as I entered, the surroundings became so empty that I couldn't see anything clearly. It was white and I was so cold that I was trembling. The ears were filled with strange sounds, like someone was whispering, or like wild animals gasping. My heart beat faster, and I grabbed the film on Fei Long's back, and silently said in my brain, stay calm, don't make any mistakes. After about 10 minutes, the smoke finally scattered, and a completely unfamiliar land appeared in front of me. The ground was covered with black rocks, as if burned by fire, and there was a smell of sulfur in the air. There are several volcanoes that are full of smoke, and they often bring low sounds of birds. The most creepy thing is the confusing roar in the air, as if something will come out at any time. Brother Hao, why don't you think this place is right? Should we go back? Xiaopeng collapsed behind me, and his voice was almost crying. Go back? What a joke, I've come here, so I have to go back in the whole battle. I gritted my teeth, strengthened the decoration, and looked down at the stone slab. As a result, the lines on the stone slabs lit up again, and the blue light formed a clear path towards a crater far away. Did you see? The stone slab responded. Let's go and take a look. I pointed to the direction of the volcano and signaled the flying dragon to fly forward. Flying dragon growled, speeding up suddenly, and its wings flapping brought a warm wind. Although I was nervous, I was more expectant. After the secret of this stone slab, I might really make me rich overnight. Oh no, it was a famous exploration world. But the good times didn't last long. Just as I flew to the middle of the mountain of the volcano, the ground suddenly shook violently, like an earthquake. Then, the rock wall next to it broke directly, creating a group of giant beasts that looked like lizards. Each one had the size of a small car, full of sharp teeth, and red eyes like blood, and rolled directly towards us. Brother Hao, here you come. Run. Xiaopeng howled like a pig, and his arms were trembling when he held my arms. Run the fart, fuck them. I felt a twitch in my heart and immediately gave an instruction to the flying dragon, round the circle, don't let them get close to you and breathe with lightning. The flying dragon's heart leader suddenly ran to the side, avoiding the bite of a giant lizard. In her mouth, it was a blue lightning light that directly flew the front of the zombie and twitched and couldn't move. When the other giant lizards saw that their companions were fucked, they roared even more. They jumped up together and tried to bite the flying dragon's wings. My brain flew quickly and silently said, fly up, open the distance, and then lean down and grab their brains. The flying dragon perfectly executed my command, suddenly rushed to the high altitude, avoiding the attack of the giant lizard, and then leaned down, with its claws accurately grasped the brain of the giant lizard, and directly threw it onto the rock wall, making a scream. The remaining few heads were not good, and they scattered and then diamonded back into the crack and disappeared. Yutsao, Brother Hao, you cooperate with Fei Long, you are so vile and invincible. The little fat man dared to raise his head and looked at me with admiration. It's okay, these little monsters are nothing. I was calm and I felt so happy. This flying dragon contacts my soul, it is simply a cheater, and it is like playing games. No one is afraid. But before I could wait for me to be proud, a familiar sneer suddenly came from far away. "Yee, Lin Hao, didn't expect you to really dare to come to this terrible place. But with only your 3-foot cat kung fu, I'm afraid you can't even enter the crater." I looked at the sound and saw that Zhang Ao, the guy who was there too. He stood on the rock platform far away with a few teammates, wearing high-level protective clothing and holding some professional equipment in his hand, as if he had already prepared for the exploration. He was also surrounded by a huge mechanical wolf with red light in his eyes. It was obvious that it was a transformed giant beast, and its atmosphere was no worse than my flying dragon. "Zhang Ao, why are you still in a state of mind? If you have the ability, don't be so whispering here." I didn't respond well, and I was a little alert in my heart. This guy can get here, and he also has the means to do so, and he may also know some secrets that I don't know. Single pick? You are the only one? Haha, don't laugh so hard. I'll take you back early so as not to die in this place of trial, and there is no one to collect. Zhang Ao laughed at a teammate next to him. The teammates clicked the head and quietly pressed a button in their hands. Then the ground shook again, and a large amount of smoke suddenly leaked near the crater, as if some machine was touched. "Bo Cauldron, Brother Hao, this smoke is poisonous." "Cough, I'm so sad." Xiaopeng covered his mouth, coughing so hard that his face turned red. I saw that I was not right, and immediately said to Feilong, "Wait, don't suck this smoke and take us to the crater." Feilong growled, flapped his wings, and directly rushed up with the smoke, which was so fast that people couldn't see clearly. But at this moment, a larger giant lizard suddenly appeared in the smoke, covered in rock-like armor, and a flame in her mouth that rushed us straight over. "Do not, left!" I shouted in my heart. The flying dragon reacted very quickly. One side barely avoided the flames, but the wings were still burned and a low sound came out. I felt nervous in my heart and immediately silently said, "Don't fight hard," and then attack its eyes. The flying dragon quickly adjusted its direction, tracing behind the giant lizard, and clawed it hard in the eyes. The giant lizard was in pain and roared, turning around in blue flames, but the flying dragon had already flown to the sky, so it didn't even let it touch it. After several rounds of attacks, the giant lizard finally couldn't stand it and roared into the rock wizard. "Yutsao, Brother Hao, it's awesome. Even this smoke can't hold you back." Although Xiaopeng was still coughing, his eyes were full of admiration. "Stop slapping the horse, Zhang Ao, that guy must be messing around, we have to be careful." I gritted my teeth and glared at Zhang Ao. The people around him obviously didn't expect that I could solve the giant lizard so quickly, and my face was a bit difficult to see. But he soon sneered again, compared me with a picky hand, and then walked towards the other side of the crater with his team. "Master, there are energy fluctuations of stone slabs at the crater, and the key to the test is right inside." Feilong's voice sounded in my brain, and his language was a little more urgent than it was. "Okay, let's go in two, don't let Zhang Ao take it first." I gritted my teeth and signaled the flying dragon to accelerate, and soon came to the edge of the crater. The heat came from inside, and the rock swelled up below, making a deep sound of silence. There is a stone platform in the middle of the crater, with runes similar to those on the stone slabs engraved, emitting blue light. "Bok, Brother Hao, this is the place to try to get a tear, right? How about it? You won't be roasted if you go down, right?" Xiaopeng looked at the rock stake below, his legs were a little soft. "I have to go on even if I cook it. If this test is not completed, how can the next rope of the stone slab be unlocked?" I took a deep breath and said to Feilong, "Take us down and don't touch the rock slab, be more stable." The flying dragon lowered its head and landed carefully, finally stopped on the stone platform. But at this moment, a scream suddenly came from the side. I turned around and saw a teammate on Zhang Ao's feet slipping down and fell directly into the rock ridge, hanging on the stone wall, and it was almost impossible to hold back. "Captain, save me! Save me!" The teammate's voice changed as he howled, his face as white as paper. Zhang Ao glanced at his eyebrows, hesitated for a moment, and said, "Don't shout, stop, I'll look for a rogue right away." But looking at his actions, he didn't mean anything urgent, as if he had no intention of saving him. When I saw this, my heart was filled with anger. Although he doesn't deal with Zhang Yao, how can he see if he doesn't save him if he dies? I gritted my teeth and said to Fai Long, "Go over and save him." The flying dragon quickly flew to the side of the teammate, with a light hook, and then he pulled him up from the stone wall and placed him on the stone platform. The teammate was so scared that his legs were soft and he hurriedly cowed out at me, thank you for saving me. If it weren't for you, I'll be done." "Don't thank me, thank you Fai Long." I snorted coldly, glanced at Zhang Yao, saw his face blue, and there was a small voice in his mouth muttering something. Obviously I didn't expect that I would take action to save people. "Lin Hao, don't we're good people. This test is not a charity event. What if you save someone? The secret of the stone slab is mine." Zhang Yao gritted his teeth and led the team to the center of the stone platform, trying to touch the runes first. "Shut? Come on, see who is quick." I sneered and ordered Fai Long, "Pull over and hold them." The flying dragon was extremely fast, and with a flapping wing, he directly slapped in front of Zhang Yao, making a low growl, which scared them several steps back. I took the opportunity to jump off the back of the flying dragon and walk to the center of the stone platform. The stone slab in my hand suddenly shook violently, and the blue light was magnificent and directly projected onto the runes of the stone platform. The next second, the runes seemed to be activated, and a low bird appeared, a faint shadow appeared, an ancient image of a warrior, holding a new stone slab in his hand. Through the tester, I get the next stone slab cable. The voice of the fool was low and majestic, and then turned into a ray of light and diamond into the stone slab in my hand. Another line of strips appeared on the surface of the stone slab, pointing to another unknown land. "Bo trouble, brother Hao, it's done. We really got the rope." The fat guy jumped up excitedly, almost falling from the stone platform. "When I say, I'll be fine if I'm talking about it." I grinned, feeling so happy in my heart. Not only did he save the person through the trial, but he also saved him. Zhang Yao, that guy, was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. Sure enough, Zhang Yao's face was as hard as eating shit. He gritted his teeth and stared at me. "Lin Hao, this time you are leaving. Let's see you again next time, see who will laugh to the end." "Okay, I'll be with you anytime." I snorted coldly, showing no sign of weakness. Fai Long growled, as if he was also picking the other party, and his air directly pressed Zhang Yao's mechanical wolf. The heat in the crater became heavier and heavier, and the rock swelled even more, as if it was about to explode at any time. I patted Xiaopeng's shoulder and said in a low voice, "Let's go. I'll get the ropes, there's no need to waste it here." The flying dragon carried us up and flew out of the crater. Zhang Yao's helper stared at us fiercely from behind, probably thinking that he had already been in a state of great trouble. I sat on the back of the flying dragon, looking down at the stone slab in my hand. The light of the new line became brighter and brighter, and I was already looking forward to the surprise waiting for me in the next test site. The flying dragon carried Xiaopeng and I out of the crater. The heat and smoke were gradually left behind. The clear sea breeze came over, and I couldn't help but relax. The stone slab in his hand still emitted a faint blue light, and the newly appeared line pointed to another unknown land, looking farther than the first place to try. I was a little excited. Although I was shocked along the way, every time I tried, I felt that I was one step closer to the treasure in the past. "Brother Hao, where are we going? Why is this stone slab getting farther and farther? I feel like I can't fly for a few days or nights next." Xiaopeng sat on the back of the flying dragon, grabbing my arm, and the sound was filled with curiosity and a slight worry. "No matter how far it is, the flying dragon is here, we won't be tired. The next stop will definitely be more exciting than this volcano. Be prepared for your carefulness and don't howl and go home again." I glanced at him, chatting on my mouth, and had no idea in my heart. After all, every attempt was more dangerous than the last one. Who knows what would happen to me in the next place? "Master, the second place pointed to by the stone slab is a cursed wasteland, where there are stronger giants guarding the key lines. You must be prepared. The sound of flying dragons sounded in my brain, and his language was heavier than before. The wasteland of curse? It's very hardcore when you hear it. Okay, with you, what are we afraid of? I patted Fei Long's back and silently recited the response in my heart. Although he was hard on his lips, I still couldn't help asking more. How strong is the guardian giant? Can it be stronger than you? It is a giant beast of the rank, with its strength above me, but as long as you cooperate with me, it is not impossible to fight it. Fei Long's voice was a challenge, as if he was looking forward to this tough battle. Bok, genre? Brother Hao, we are really going to go to heaven. Xiao Pang muttered when he heard my little voice, his eyes glaring, and he was so excited. If he could conquer that big guy, would Zhang Ao's veins not vomit blood? Conquer? Hey, I think beautifully, I will give you a win first. I grinned, and a desire aroused in my heart. It has been opened to be able to communicate with Fei Long's soul. If I get rid of a giant primitive, then I, Lin Hao, will really become the top in the exploration world. The flying dragon was extremely fast. After several days and nights of flying, we finally arrived at the wasteland pointed to by the stone slabs. At first glance, the place was covered with gray and yellow sand, and huge gaps were cracked on the ground, as if they were torn open by something. The sky is dusty, and lightning is flashing from time to time. There is a sense of pressure in the air, making people feel free to breathe. A huge stone tablet could be seen from a distance, with runes similar to those on my stone slab, emitting a faint red light. Bok, Brother Hao, why don't you see this place? I feel that lightning will hit you at any time. The little fat man shrank behind me, his eyes slid around, his voice full of tightness. I can't even chop you down. There is a flying dragon on the top. Don't worry, let's talk about it. We have to go to the stone tablet first. I patted his shoulder, pointed to the stone tablet far away, and signaled the flying dragon to land. But before we could get closer, the ground suddenly shook violently, like a big guy arching underground. Then, a deafening roar rose, the sand was lifted up, and a huge giant beast was diamond from the ground. The body of this guy must be 3-story high, covered with black rock armor, 2 sharp corners on his head, his eyes are red like charcoal, and green mucus dripped in his mouth. It is obvious that he is not a good person to mess with. As soon as it appeared, the pressure in the air doubled, and my heart was almost pounding out of my throat. Bone Groove, Brother Hao, this is the giant beast of the traditional level, right? It looks even more powerful than a flying dragon. The fat man's throat was so howling that his legs were shaking like a crunch. What a panic, I won't know if I'll hit you. I gritted my teeth, my mouth was hard, and my brain had already started to communicate with Fei Long. Why are you here? How can we fight? It is the King of Earth cracks. It controls the power of the earth. Its strength and defense are extremely strong, but its speed is weak. Master, we have to use the advantages of the air to not let it get closer. Fei Long's voice was cold and decisive, as if he had already had a solution. Okay, listen to you. Push it up, fly it, try the water first. I silently recited in my heart, and the flying dragon erected a long bird, flapped its wings, and directly rushed into the sky, and rolled up on the King of Earth breaking plate. The giant beast saw us flying high, and let out a roar, and stomped its feet suddenly. A huge gap broke directly on the ground, and countless sand and stones shot towards us like balls. Left flash, hide! I shouted. The flying dragon reacted very quickly, one side avoiding most of the sand and stones, but it was still wiped by several blocks, leaving a few traces on the film. I felt nervous. This guy was too proud. He stomped his feet and it was like an earthquake. He would definitely not fight hard. Breathe with lightning, aim at its eyes, and don't touch it head on. I gave an order in my brain, and the flying dragon stood up with his mouth, and a blue lightning ray directly hit the king's brain. But this guy didn't react slowly. He lowered his head and forced the lightning to use his corner to suppress the lightning, making a harsh friction sound, and then another roar, and the crack on the ground became bigger and almost sucked us in. Bok, Brother Hao, this guy's skin is too thick, even lightning can't break the defense. Xiaopeng was sweating coldly when he saw it, and his voice was filled with panic. If you can't break the defense, you have to fight. We can't just fall off and run away. I gritted my teeth, and continued to say to Filong, pull up the point, don't let it touch it, find a chance to grab its back, there's a thin piece of space. The Dragon Heart Leadership Association suddenly rushed to a higher altitude. The King of Earthbreak roared and jumped up to try to bite us, but its speed could not keep up, and its claws could only grab in the air. I looked at the time and silently said, breaking down, grab the back of the claws. Filong leaned down, and his claws accurately grabbed the back of the zombie of the King of Schizophrenia, tearing off a large piece, and the green blood sprayed out, causing it to scream in pain. It's done. Just fight this way, waste it to death. I was delighted, but before I could finish my excitement, the King of Earth's schizone suddenly shook his whole body, and a green fog appeared on the tablet, which quickly spread like a poisonous smoke. Filong accidentally took a breath, and his wings were flapping a little slower. Crockett, will this thing still be poisoned? Fly high, don't suck the smoke. I shouted hurriedly, and the flying dragon slammed into the sky. But the King of Earthbreak took advantage of the opportunity to stomp his feet, and the ground collapsed directly, causing a storm to storm, and the visual line was instantly blocked. My heart was beating almost blowing. This guy has all kinds of tricks, and it was as difficult as the boss. Brother Hao, we can't stand it anymore, right? I'm so angry that I'm so angry. Why don't we withdraw first? Xiaopeng covered his mouth, coughing so hard that his face was red, and his voice was filled with urgency. Removing the fart, how can I take the stone rope? Hard on my skin. I bit my teeth and communicated with Filong in my brain, can it work? Let's fight again. Master, I can still fight. Although Feilong's voice was a little weak, it was still determined. My heart warmed up. This guy is so arrogant that he has to fuck me even if he tries his life. But at this moment, a familiar sneer suddenly came from far away. Yi, Lin Hao, why did you encounter a tough guy? Look at your wolf, I'm afraid that even the giant skin can't be broken, right? I turned around and saw that the trough was coming again. He stood on a high ground far away with several teammates, and a modified exploration car parked beside it, with several advanced weapons on the top of the car. The mechanical wolf's eyes were blinking red, as if they were ready to come at any time. Zhang Ao, why do you still feel so bad? If you have the ability, come and try this huge beast. Don't watch it hot. I didn't feel happy, and I was a little alert in my heart. This guy probably didn't have a good intention when he appeared at this time. Fight? Ha, I'm not as stupid as you, are you going to fight head-on? I just wait for you and this giant beast to get hurt, and I'm not enough to take advantage of the old man? Zhang Ao sneered and winked at a teammate next to him. The teammate clicked the head, pressed a remote control in his hand, and then the weapon on the explorer suddenly started. Several lasers shot directly at the King of Earth's slit, which made it even more angry, and turned toward us. Both trough, Zhang Ao, you swear me. I was so angry that this guy clearly wanted to kill someone with a knife, so that the King of Earthbreak would kill us first, and then he would give him a good deal. But now it is not the time to break the street. The King of Earth cracked had already rushed in front of him, and his huge claws slapped down hard. Filong hit on one side, but he was still shaken by the waves. Brother Hao, what are you doing? This huge beast, Zhang Ao, we are not humans. Xiaopeng was so anxious that he stomped his feet, and his voice was almost crying. Two heads? Then let's fuck you together. I gritted my teeth, and said to Filong, first solve the giant beast, don't worry about Zhang Ao, rush over, and aim at the old place behind it. Filong growled and leaned down again, and grabbed his claws hard at the wound of the zombie king behind the cracked king. This time he directly teared a big hole, and the green blood was sprayed all over the ground. The giant beast was in pain, and a roar was shaking, and his body shook, and finally he couldn't hold it back. He fell to the ground, raising a dust of sand. It's done. The trough is fucked. I was ecstatic in my heart and patted Fei Long's back with a heavy breath. Good, brother, awesome. But before I could catch my breath, the exploration car on Zhang Ao suddenly accelerated and rushed over, and the weapons on the car shot again. This time, it was not directed at the giant beast, but directly hit us. I was shocked and immediately shouted to Fei Long, "Do not take it hard." The flying dragon flapped its wings and barely avoided the laser, but the speed was obviously much slower. Its tough battle with the King of Earth cracking consumed too much power. Zhang Ao stood on the car and sneered, "Lin Hao, don't slap it. Hand over the stone slab, I can still save your life." "Thank you. If you have the ability, come and take it yourself." I gritted my teeth and replied, knowing in my heart that the situation is not good now and the flying dragon is not good. If I fight hard, I will definitely be able to lose it. But at this moment, a low bird suddenly came from where the King of Earth cracked fell, as if something had been activated. I looked down and saw the giant's body begin to emit red light. Then a new stone slab emerged from its body and slowly flew in front of me. Trough, stone slab? My eyes lit up and I reached out to catch it. As soon as the stone slab was received, another line appeared on it, and a low voice came from the brain. "Try to pass through. The King of Earthbreak recognizes your power and is willing to surrender to you." What? Surrender? I was stunned and turned around and saw that the fallen king of the ground had stood up slowly. The red light in his eyes turned blue, and he lowered his head and let out a low growl at me, as if he was really expressing his smoothness. "Bo Grotto, Brother Hao, did you really hear this giant beast?" Xiaopeng was stunned, his mouth was so loud that he could stuff a fist. "By the way, I'm so happy." I felt so happy that I immediately tried to communicate with the King of Earth split in my brain. "Hey, big guy, can you understand what I say? Fuck me that guy who deserves to be beaten." The King of Earthcrack roared, as if he understood what I meant. He stomped his feet suddenly, and a huge gap broke open on the ground, directly stuck Zhang Ao's exploration car inside, unable to move. Then it roared again, and then slapped it on the top of the car, smashing the weapon rack into pieces. "Cha, Lin Hao, you have a kind of it. I have recorded this note, let's take a look." Zhang Ao's face was green with anger, and he hurriedly took his teammates out of the car, running away with a gray face. The mechanical wolf followed behind, as if he knew he could not beat it, so he slipped away with his tail. "Run? If you can run, the monk can't run. I will see you next time. I will make you kneel down and call you dad." I sneered, and compared Zhang Ao's back with a middle finger, feeling so happy in my heart. I fucked the giant beast of the rank and subdued it as a younger brother. I guess I would never have thought that I could do this when I was dreaming. Brother Hao, you are not a human, but a god. The King of Earth Schizophrenics has heard of you. Who in the exploration world dares to challenge you? Xiaopeng admired her face and slapped her fart so that my ears were almost rising. "Don't blow, we're not at the end yet. The stone slab cable has been updated. The next step is probably more difficult. Please prepare." I lowered my head and looked at the stone slab in my hand. The new line pointed to, and there was a stronger wave of energy. There was both expectation and pressure in my heart. The flying dragon and the King of Earthbreak protected me from the left and right, and the aura of the two giant beasts directly calmed down the surrounding wasteland. I took a deep breath, patted Xiaopeng's shoulder, and grinned. "Let's go, next stop, let's continue to do big things." The flying dragon and the King of Earthbreak protected me one left and one right, and the air pressure made the voices on the wasteland a little smaller. I looked down at the slab in my hand, and the light of the new line became stronger and stronger, pointing to a place farther away than all the previous attempts. There is a hidden premonition in my brain. This time it should be the last stop. The ultimate secret of lost civilization is waiting for me. Brother Hao, where are we going? How did this stone slab point in the direction? It feels so evil. It feels more scary than the previous places. The little fat man came over and glanced at the stone slab. The sound was full of tightness, but there was a flash of bright light in his eyes. "Is that evil? That's not right." The bigger the battle, the more interesting it is. This time I should have stood there. If I get it done, we'll just explore the top of the world. I patted his shoulder, his mouth was hard, and I was actually not sure in my heart. After all, every time I try it, it is harder than the last time. There may be something amazing waiting for me in this final place. Master, the place where the stone slab guides is the core of the lost civilization, where there is an ancient power that controls all the giants. But the power of guarding will be unprecedentedly powerful, be prepared. The sound of flying dragons sounded in my brain, and his language was heavier than ever before. Control all the giant beasts? If you get this, you won't be defeated. My eyes lit up, and the struggle in my heart was directly ignited. No matter how strong its protection power is, with the two big guys, Flying Dragon and King of Earthbreak, what am I afraid of? Okay, let's go out now. Flying Dragon leads the way, the King of Earthbreaking follows, don't lose the team. I waved my big hand, Flying Dragon lowered its head, flapped its wings, and directly lifted the little fat man and I into the sky. The King of Earthbreak roared on the ground, and his huge body stepped on the ground, following our pace. After a long journey of days and nights, the Flying Dragon took us through the endless ocean and violent storm areas, and finally arrived at the final place of the stone slab guidance. This place looks like the world's top, the sky is black and the lightning is formed into a network, and there is a huge floating island on the ground, with ancient stone sculptures and broken sacrificial forts, and the air is filled with a creepy sense of pressure. Far away, a huge stone door stood in the middle of the island, with runes exactly like those on my stone slab, emitting dazzling purple light. Brother Hao, this place is too annoying. I feel that there will be some big bosses coming out at any time. The little fat guy collapsed behind me, his voice trembling, but he still couldn't help but look at Dong Zhang Sisi, as if he wanted to see what money-worthy things could be used. Boss? Hey, I'll fuck as much as I come. There must be a big secret behind this stone door. Let's go in and take a look. I gritted my teeth, my mouth was hard, and I felt an unprecedented pressure in my heart. The energy fluctuations here were too strong, and the Flying Dragon and the King of Earthbreak were a little uneasy, and he was alert in his low growling. I patted Fei Long's back and silently said to my head, still steady, take us over, don't be hard, look at the situation first. Fei Long lowered his head and flew towards the stone gate. The King of Earthbreaking was protecting us on the ground, and his huge claws stepped on the floating island straight. But as soon as I approached the stone gate, the ground suddenly shook violently, as if the entire island was about to collapse. Then, the purple light on the stone door flourished, and a huge virtual shadow appeared slowly. It was an ancient warrior wearing warriors, holding a giant long spear in his hand and a purple light flashing in his eyes, which made me feel so much that I could not breathe. As soon as the shadow opened his mouth, the sound seemed to be coming from the sky, making his ears buzzing and saying, "Who is coming? You dare to be good at losing civilization, forbidden land. Yutsao, Brother Hao, what is this guy? It looks better than the King of Earth's schizophrenia." The little fat hugged my arm in surprise, and his voice almost changed. What's that? Isn't it just a virtual movie? I've even said that the giant beasts of Great are fucked, and I'm afraid it won't work. I felt hard on my mouth, but I was actually unsure. The vibe's aura was too strong, and the Flying Dragon and the King of Earthbreak both roared, as if they were ready to fuck them at any time. I am Lin Hao, I came with the stone slab. Through all the tests, the secret of this place should be mine. I lifted the stone slab in my hand, and the blue light and the purple light on the stone door intersected, as if they were in harmony with each other. The voice looked at me with a low head, and a snippet was in her language, stone holders, those who passed the test. Okay, you are qualified to accept the final exam. If you can defeat me, the power of lost civilization will belong to you. If you fail, you will always be buried here. As the voice fell, the shadow suddenly became physical, and the purple light on the war armor turned into thunder and lightning. As soon as the long spear was blown, the air around it was torn apart, making a sharp sound. My heart was beating almost blowing. This guy was not easy to mess with at first glance. he probably was stronger than all his opponents before. Bo Cauldron, Brother Hao, do you really want to fight? Can we run away? The little fat man's face turned pale with a startled voice, his voice as small as a mosquito. Run? Run, isn't it all in vain when you run away? Fight! I bit my teeth and ordered the Flying Dragon and the King of Earth shift at the same time. Flying Dragon, the air is superior, attack. King of Earth shift, the ground is hard, don't let it get close to me. The Flying Dragon sounded a long bird and suddenly rose into the sky, and the wild wind flapping out of its wings directly blew the surrounding gravel. The King of Earth roared and stomped his feet hard. The ground cracked and cracked, trying to limit the movement of the video warriors. But this guy was really too strong. With a long spear, the thunder and electricity directly slashed the King of the Earth's schizophrenia, forcing it back a few steps, and charred marks appeared on the tablet. Call, this thunder is too cruel. Fly along, dodge, don't take it hard, and use breath to fight back. I shouted in my heart. Fly Long reacted very quickly, and avoided a thunder on his side. His mouth was filled with a blue thunder breath, thrusting directly at the brain of the virtual warrior. But the virtual warrior just raised his hand lightly, and the lightning was blocked by a purple barrier, and there was no wave. Brother Hao, what are you doing? This guy is like he is hanging, we can't fight at all. Xiaopeng stomped his feet in an anxious mood, his voice full of panic. If you can't fight, you have to fight, and you have to consume it to death. I gritted my teeth, and flew in my heart, and continued to order the two giant beasts, Flying Dragon, continue to pull up and find the weakness on its back. King of Earth Schizone, use poison smoke to limit its visual line. The King of Earth Schizophrenia roared, and green poisonous smoke sprayed from the flakes, instantly covering the surroundings of the virtual warriors. Flying Dragon took advantage of the opportunity to lean down and grab the back of the Void Warrior with his claws. However, before his claws could touch him, the Void Warrior suddenly turned around, raised his long spear, forcing Flying Dragon back, leaving a scorch mark on his wings. I felt nervous. This guy reacted too quickly, just like a robot, without any brute force. But at this moment, the stone slab in my hand suddenly shook violently, and the blue light was soaring, as if I felt something. I looked down and saw that all the lines on the slabs lit up at this moment, forming a complete pattern, and a low voice came from my brain, Holder, the power of the slab has been fully activated, connecting with the giant beasts to enhance the war. Trough, is this still possible? My eyes lit up, and I immediately tried to communicate with the Flying Dragon and the King of Earth Schizophrenia. Sure enough, I felt a powerful energy flowing from the stone slab to me and then flowing to the two giant beasts. Their low growls instantly became more intense, and their bodies emitted blue light, as if they were strengthened. Okay, come on. Once again, the Flying Dragon's lightning breathed, and the King of Earth directly hit it. I shouted in my heart, and the two giant beasts seemed to fully understand what I meant. The Flying Dragon's mouth sprayed a lightning light that was several times thicker than before. The King of Earth was thrust down and violently, with a cold light flashing from his horns, hitting the chest of the virtual warrior. This time, the virtual warrior was unable to completely hold it down. The lightning broke open its purple barrier. The collision of the King of Earth cracking forced it to retreat a few steps, and several cracks appeared on the armor. It roared with a roar, and the long spear slammed again. The thunder and electricity were denser than just now. However, with the blessing of the power of the stone slab, the Flying Dragon and the King of Earth held the pressure on the top and the reaction became more and more fierce. That's it, do it. Don't stop. I yelled in my heart, feeling that my connection with the two giant beasts had never been so strong. Every action seemed like I was fighting with each other, and I was so happy. After several rounds of battle, the video warrior's armor finally couldn't stand it and shattered, and its body began to become transparent, as if the energy was about to be consumed. Holder, you passed the exam. The voice of the virtual warrior became weaker and weaker, and the long spear fell to the ground, turning into purple light and dissipated. It finally glanced at me and it dissipated. At the same time, a huge sound came from the stone door, which opened slowly, revealing a huge fortress inside. A purple crystal floated in the center, scattering energy waves that made people shake. The trough, it's done. That's the ultimate power. My heart was about to explode, and I jumped off the back of the dragon and walked towards the sacrificial palace. Xiaopeng followed behind me, his eyes glaring like a copper flap, and his mouth kept shouting, "Brother Hao, you are so awesome. If you get this thing, we will be invincible." But before I could touch the crystal, a harsh sneer came from afar, "Lin Hao, you did a good job. But this final result is still something I have to do." I turned around and saw that the guy Zhang Ao appeared again. He stood at the stone gate with several teammates, with the mechanical wolf on his side flashing red light, and a more hardcore exploration car parked beside him. There was a giant energy cannon on the top of the car, and the muzzle was facing me, emitting the light of danger. "Zhang Ao, why are you still in a state of mind? If you have the ability to fight the virtual warriors by yourself, don't always want to betray what you have done." I was so angry that my teeth became irritated, and my heart became alert. This guy appeared at this time and probably had been squatting beside him for a long time, waiting for both the video warrior and I to get hurt. Fight? Ha, I'm not as stupid as you. My energy cannon is specially prepared for this kind of scene. I hand over the crystals, otherwise I will flatten the island with you and you will be done with your shatter. Zhang Ao sneered, his fingers on the remote control, and his face was full of pride. Come on, see who is. I gritted my teeth and snorted coldly, and ordered the flying dragon and the king of earth split in my brain. Flying dragon, kill that cannon. The king of earth split, rush over and smash the broken car. The flying dragon sounded a long bird and flapped its wings, which was as fast as a flash. It directly strode the energy cannon on the vehicle, grabbed the cannon with its claws, and grabbed the cannon barrel crooked. The king of earth schizophrenic roared and rushed over. With a slap of his huge claws, the exploration car was smashed to pieces. Zhang Ao and his teammates were shocked to scramble to the ground and hide. Boat, Lin Hao, you dare to hurt my things. Mechanical wolf, go up, tear them apart. Zhang Ao's face turned green and he slapped his hand at the mechanical wolf. The mechanical wolf growled, his eyes lit up brightly, and he suddenly rushed towards me, and his speed was astonishing. But it didn't touch me yet. Feilong had already leaned down, pressed it directly to the ground with his claws, and his mouth was filled with a burst of lightning, which forced half of the mechanical wolf's body to a waste. The king of Earthcracked approached Zhang Ao step by step, and his huge figure made his legs soft. He stepped back for a few steps, his face as white as paper. Zhang Ao, why do you want to be cheap? If you don't let go, I will let the king of the Earthcrack stomp you with one foot. I sneered, and gave him a middle finger, feeling so happy in my heart. From the beginning, this guy kept calling me, and now he finally got to the point where I finally crushed him. Lin Hao, you have a. I've recorded this account. Zhang Ao gritted his teeth, his face as if he had eaten shit. He ran away with several teammates on the gray faces, and even the pile of waste iron machinery wolves were not in sight. Remember? Hey, remember. I snorted coldly, turned to the fort, and my hands finally touched the purple crystal. As soon as the crystal was obtained, a powerful energy instantly stormed into my body, and my brain seemed to be filled with countless information. The history of lost civilization, the origin of giants, and the power of how to control them were all clear. At the same time, the flying dragon and the king of earth split let out a low roar, as if they also felt the blessing of this power, and the light on their bodies became even more intense. I felt a sudden change in my heart and tried to recite a command silently. The wild giant beasts that were originally hidden on the floating islands were lowered at the same time and expressed their surrender to me. Brother Hao, you have really become the king of giant beasts. The giant beasts in the world all hear you, and this is a big deal. Who dares to challenge you? Xiaopeng was stunned and shouted in his mouth, dancing with excitement. Wind, from today on, I'm just a legend in the world of adventure. I grinned, and the feeling of satisfaction in my heart was bursting. From being ridiculed by Zhang Ao at first as a town bull, to being crushed by him so hard that he finally took over the ultimate power of the lost civilization. The surprise and sweat along the way are worth it. The fort behind the stone door closed slowly, the purple light dissipated, and the entire floating island began to calm down, as if it was completing its mission. I patted Xiaopeng on the shoulder and pointed at the flying dragon and the king of Earthbreak. "Let's go, brothers, let's go home, let the whole world see who is the real top." The flying dragon lowered its head and raised the sky as the little fat man and I rose up, and the king of Earthbreaking followed tightly on the ground. The sky far away finally cleared, and the sun was shining on its body, warm. I looked down at the stone slabs and crystals in my hand, and I knew in my heart that from now on, there was no longer anything in this world that could hold me. A few days later, we returned to the original ancient temple. The news had long been revealed. Explorers and media from all over the world rushed over and surrounded me like a god. Some worship and some are jealous, but more are still shocked. Zhang Ao's guy came, hiding behind the crowd, his face was blue and he didn't even have the courage to see me. "Brother Hao, how is it? Is the scene so good? From now on, you are the first person to explore the world." Xiaopeng stood beside me, smiling so hard that he couldn't even close his mouth. He kept taking pictures with his cell phone in his hand, as if he was afraid of missing this historic moment. "It's so good. Hey, that's just the beginning. In the future, some will be waiting for us on the big court." I grinned and lowered my head to Flying Dragon. It emitted a sound of long birds, flapped its wings, and rolled up a wild wind, and its air directly shocked the whole scene. Since that day, the relationship between giants and humans has become more harmonious, and conflicts around the world have subsided because of my existence. I carried Xiaopeng and Feilong to continue exploring every corner of the world. The King of Earthbreak became another trump card for me, guarding those once dangerous forbidden areas. No one in the exploration world dares to challenge my status anymore, and Lin Hao's name has become a synonym for legends. "Brother Hao, where will we go in the future? You have been visiting this world almost." Xiaopeng asked with a smile while gnawing on his chicken legs. "Where to go? Hey, the world is so big, there are many secrets. Let's go, next stop, let's find a big guy to subdue it, and continue to be a legend." I patted his brain, pointed to the sky far away, and flew lowly, as we started again, flying towards the unknown adventure.